He is none other than an industry and a professional network marketing master for over 20 years. He's a gentleman who has been at the top levels of both the field, so he knows what our lives are like in terms of the field, and he has also been a top producer and a top performer, in terms of corporate end of the business. He is the gentleman who's come in, and one of the key factors that things have turned around so quickly, and I'm talking about none other than our Chief Ambassador. Please get to your feet and give a rousing welcome to our Chief Ambassador, Marty Hale. Woo!
It wasn't long ago, the age of 21, like a few years back. Who invited this lady on the front row? How many of you want to change the world? Well, the only way to change the world is to first change your world. Right? Jim Rohn is famous for having said, changing your philosophy can change your life. See how quick it works? It's like magic. I wasn't getting my information from the right source. Therefore, my understanding of what was real wasn't really real. It was actually fake. There was nothing wrong with this next girl that I met. It's just the fact that she wore the same perfume that broke my heart one time years ago. But I started making decisions based on false information. And you will do the same thing in this industry. You won't make the phone call. You won't show the presentation. You won't invite your prospect because you're making decisions based on what happened last time. The truth really will set you free. And it's not just spiritually, folks. It's in every aspect of life. So where does freedom come from? Think about financial freedom. Where does it come from? I'll show you where it comes from. It comes from whether you're a celebrity, whether you're in network marketing, whether you're a business owner. It comes from your fans. It comes from your following. It comes from your network, correct? Hello? All right. Well, how do you build a network? Where does the network come from? Well, it comes from an accumulation of many, many, many what? Relationships. And how do you develop a relationship? Through trust. And how do you get trust? By telling the truth. Watch this. Start telling the truth in every aspect of this business and watch what happens. People will start trusting you. You'll start developing relationships. That relationship will build a network, and the next thing you know, you'll set yourself free. Now, I'm going to warn you. So you say you want to be successful in this business. It's like a pendulum. The only way you will ever become successful in this business, you have to fail your way to the top. And be okay with it. You see, the more successful you want to be, the more times you need to fail. Just get excited about it. You want to be ultra successful? Go all in. Make a fool out of yourself. Talk to people in the train station. Grab them out of the grocery store and the gas pump, and everywhere you see them, grab them. Go for the juggler. I didn't hesitate. The moment he said, "Gah," I was on that board, man, paddling as fast as I possibly could. And all of a sudden, that board starts lifting up, and my arms aren't hitting the water. And I'm like, oh, my God, what am I going to do now? I had caught the wave, and I grabbed a hold of the front of that surfboard, and it's going, pop, 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 pop. I looked real cool on my big, my belly bouncing around on this wave. Had no idea how to get up. I forgot everything he taught me. And so, guys, I'm not kidding, about 50 yards before the beach was there, I'm like, okay, I got to get up. So I get up on one knee. And about 20 yards before I get there, man, I pop up. Oh, yeah, baby, I'm surfing. And all of a sudden, the fin hits the sand. Wham! Nosedive right into the beach. Are you guys ever going to get tired of hearing me say that? I mean, wasn't it kind of like drinking from a fire hose? I mean, you know, I've never tried it, but I can imagine what it's like. Now, some of you last night looked like you were drinking from a fire hose, but I mean, they call him the $25 billion man. Guys, he did not have the money to pay his payroll 1 week. So he called up Mr. Binion, the owner of the Horseshoe out in Las Vegas, and he said, I want to make a one-time bet, a high card bet with 10-to-1 odds. In other words, for those of you that are not gamblers, they're going to draw a card, and who's ever the highest wins. And he was going to place $1 million bet, and he needed $10 million from Mr. Binion. He accepted the bet. He flew out with his last $1 million. He put it down. They drew the cards, and he won. Luckily. He risked it all for his dream, for his why. And guys, I could go on and I could tell you about Black & Decker. I could tell you about Domino's Pizza. I could tell you about Wrigley Spearmint Gun. I could tell you about almost every single company that you buy goods and services from today, and their story is exactly the same. They weren't born with silver platters in their hands, and it wasn't easy for them. It didn't just happen naturally. They're exactly like you and I, exactly like us. They're crazy too. Some of you remember the story of the talents, right? There was a master who had 3 servants. Master wanted to take a long trip. He came to his 3 servants and he gave one of them 5 talents, one of them 2 talents, one of them 1 talent. And he said, I want you to go and I want you to produce. He went away on a long trip. He came back. The one who he gave 5 to, what did he do? He got 5 more, right? He produced. The one he gave 2 to, he gave him 2 because he produced. They high-fived, belly bumped, and they started partying. The one he gave 1 to, and I'm ad-libbing, by the way, the one that he gave 1 to, the story says that he became afraid and that he went and dug a hole in the ground and buried that so that he would have it for his master when he came back. And, of course, we all know what happened, right? He came back and he gave him what he'd given him and he kicked him in the rear and said, get out of here, you lazy, unfaithful servant. Lazy, unfaithful servant. Folks, let me tell you something. If you go back and you read this story, here's what it says. To one he gave 5, to one he gave 2, to one he gave 1. To each one he gave according to their own ability. Folks, do you know what the word talent in the Greek represents? It's not a skill set. It represented currency like the dollar, the peso. It represented opportunity. And so you could say to each one he gave these opportunities according to their own ability. You see, the fact that you're sitting here today says that you have the ability to achieve this. Seriously, get mad at yourself for the lack of discipline that you've had over the last weeks and the last days and the last months. Get mad at yourself. Slap yourself around. Go ahead. It's okay. Slap yourself around a little bit. Because it will create emotion inside of you to do something about it, to stand up for you and your family, your kids, your grandkids, your loved ones, right? You know, on a little bit more serious note, I don't know about you, but I had a whole lot of fun this weekend. Because if we're going to become the Super Bowl champions of network marketing, if we are going to be #1 in the world, we've got to figure out how we're going to do it from this day forward. Would you agree with me? Yes. Well, I'll tell you how they did it. You heard Drew Pearson talk about it yesterday. He said they did it with character. That's what Tom Landry looked for, right? Character. He looked for passion. He looked for intelligence, and he looked for talent. But he knew that he could build, he could create the talent, he could develop the talent. It's not the kind of talent that people think you're born with. It's the kind of talent that you've got to work on, that you've got to grow. Your personal development, that's the kind of talent that is going to be required for us to win the Super Bowl, right? That's how they did it. It takes this right here. Bob Q said it. Several other people said it. Thoughts become things. It takes your belief. You've got to think that you're a champion right now, right here, today. You've got to believe with all your heart, mind, and soul that you are a champion, that you are number one, that you deserve to play on Sunday, that you're better than the other guy, that you're better than the other gal. You've got to believe in yourself like nobody else believes in you. You've got to find a way to think you're great, to think that you deserve it, that you're the best in the room, that you're the best presenter, that you're the best three-way, that you're the best closer, that you're the best trainer, that you're the best at everything. And believe it with no doubt. The words "I'll try" should not exist in your vocabulary. It's just giving you room for an excuse, guys. For you see, as a man thinks, so is he. What do you think about yourself? Do you really believe that you are a champion? Do you believe that you deserve to be number one? Do you believe that you deserve to replace Frank and Joe in this company? It's okay, that's healthy competition. We're still gonna play together as a team. But you need to believe that you deserve to be number one, that you have the work ethic to be number one, that you have the discipline to be number one, that you have the talents and the skills to be number one. And if you don't, then start working on them so that you do believe that. But there's something a whole lot more meaningful, a whole lot deeper. Who has the best culture in the entire industry? We do, right? Who has the best leadership in the game? We do. Who has the best team in the league? We do, right? We do. For who are we? I'll tell you who we are. We are champions. I start off by saying it's not about the product. It's not about the rates. It's not about the comp plan. It is about your culture. It's about your why. I want to know today, what's your why? Why are you really doing this business?
In this business for a little over 3 years, and I'm a new associate, and I've got 2 weeks. And about 15 minutes ago, I got it. I have hopes, I have desires, I have a dream. I can believe every day it's gonna be okay. I got a kid that wants to go to college, and I want to take him there. I want to send him there. Every day I live paycheck to paycheck and pray that it's gonna be all right. And today, I really believe that if I work for it, and I believe it, it's going to be okay.
It's going to be okay.
And I love you.
Folks, that's what it takes. And if you don't have that, you've got to find that.
I don't want to end up at the end of my life wondering what I did with it, or I want to be able to help people, and I want my life to be about that, and I don't want it to be about the everyday struggle.
It may not be you. It may not be that you don't have money. You may have a lot of money. It may be the kids that are in the dump in Honduras. You know, I was down there several years ago, and there were two kids. The young boy was 6 years old. His little sister was 4 years old. And when I say dump, I'm talking a garbage dump. You know what I'm talking about? Where everybody goes and dumps their garbage. And this little boy, this little 6-year-old boy, was beating off a buzzard, a vulture, because the vulture was fighting with his sister over a trash bag of food. Both of their parents were deceased. They had no family. They were living in the Honduras dump. So if you don't have a reason big enough in your own life to make you cry, then go find one. There's a lot of people in this world that don't have what you have, and they need you. If not you, then who? If you won't help them, who will? Guys, we were not put on this earth just to drive around in fancy sports cars with the Armani suits, the alligator shoes, the Rolex watches. And that's not necessarily why this business was brought to us. It was brought to us to do good in this world. It was brought to us to give not just us hope, but for us to give other people hope. Maybe people who aren't even in this business. So why are you really here?
But there was never anything to get a person off to a good start. And it's been my prayer to end that in my family. I want to do for my children, my grandchildren. And I never want them to have to worry or be concerned about how they're going to make it. And there's so much good in this world that I want to do. And I know with this vehicle, we're going to get it done.
That's right. You see, that's what you've got to do when you walk away from here, is you have got to remember your dream. You've got to know your why so strong that it makes you cry, whether there's people around or nobody around. It's got to be deep down inside your soul, where if I were to wake you up at 3 a.m. in the morning and said, what's your why, you could spit it out just like that. It's that real, it's that significant. There's so much meaning behind your why that nothing will stop you from your dream. Not your kids, not your parents, not your best friends, not your enemies. Nobody will stop you until you achieve it. So here's what I want to leave you with. You may be here going, man, I don't know how to get there. I don't know how to be successful. I don't know the way. Guess what? I always tell people, just follow your dreams. They know the way. Thank you, guys.